Hello, everyone. Thank you, Vinay, for the introduction. My name is David Alger. I'm the CTO of Classy Llama Studios. We're a Gold Solutions partner with Magento, a full-service e-commerce agency. We have a booth here, so feel free to stop by and check us out. So Vinay already told you a little bit about me, but I've been exclusively focused on Magento e-commerce since early 2009. I'm a member of the Magento Technical Partner Council, the Magento Certification Advisory Board, as Vinay mentioned. I also hold both the Magento Certified Developer Plus, the Front-End Certified Developer, and Zen Certified Engineer certifications, and an experienced software integrator. So what I'm going to be covering today is creating Magento ERP integrations, basically going through what it takes to architect and engineer a successful ERP integration and avoiding the pitfalls that are very commonly run into when building an integration. So what I'm going to cover is reasons for integrating, purpose-driven nature of a software integration, the architectural design facing challenges and engineering solutions, and then also touching on integration scalability. So the first thing is, why an integration? So to answer that question, we have to answer the question of what is an ERP. An ERP, in simple terms, is a piece of software built around the single premise of having the ability to manage all of the information and functions of a company through every channel of the business. The benefits are numerous. You have centralization, accuracy, less hassle on the order fulfillment side, customer service, product management. So basically, integrating Magento with an ERP means an increase in efficiency. So the purpose-driven nature of an ERP, any software integration has to have a very good purpose. Otherwise, it's going to be fraught with errors. It's not going to really go that well. So the first step in creating an ERP integration is defining the goals. Two examples here would be the guarantee of accurate information across all of your properties. If you run 10 different e-commerce properties online and you have the same set of SKUs, you want to make sure that the inventory you have is the same across all of them. And you want to make sure that your customer service reps that are in the ERPs have the same information. Less headaches during order fulfillment. So the first step to building an ERP would be architectural design, coming before any programming starts on the ERP integration, to basically define the solution, which I like to call a blueprint. And there's a few basic things that you should cover there, and that is the information coverage. What types of information is the ERP integration going to actually make move from Magento to the ERP, from the ERP to Magento? Definition around what the master of record is. In other words, is the ERP the final say-so as far as what the information is? If the information changes in Magento and the ERP, which one takes precedence if you have to solve conflicts, and which direction the information is flowing? Is it bidirectional, one way? And if so, which direction? Then you have prerequisites for designing a workable solution, insights into business processes, familiarity with both pieces of software, and the knowledge of how the data is actually defined in both systems. A very important, critical part to building a successful integration. Then you have to decide on what integration paradigm you're actually going to use. There's two paradigms, main ones, middleware and direct. I'm going to focus on the direct paradigm here, because middleware, typically you just end up with configuration on both sides because you're dealing with SOAP APIs on both sides of the fence. So a typical technical blueprint of what you would see for an integration that if we went through it and did all the architectural design would consist of a few different pieces. On the left here, you'll see an outline. That was kind of like an outline of a document, which we would put together, including all of the information for the architectural design of the ERP integration. It would cover like the integration goals, the summary, just what the ERP integration is supposed to accomplish, dependencies for the integration. What do you need to actually begin work? What do you need to start? What integration method you're going to use, an outline of what that is, integration requirements, product information, breaking that down into different pieces. What pieces of product integration are you actually going to translate from one system to the other? Inventory, pricing. Then if you'll see here, I've got two different sections under pricing, general pricing and customer tiers. Now, one thing that I'll point out here is customer tiers. This is actually something that we did for a particular client a couple months ago. And customer tier pricing, Magento doesn't actually support that out of the box, but many ERPs actually support that. So knowing that the client wants customer tier pricing to be ported into their Magento systems, very important to know before you start, so that way you can either decide you're going to build support into the Magento platform to be able to handle it, or you have to understand that it's not going to be supported properly. Then you have customer accounts. Are you syncing those or not? Then you have order fulfillment. What are you doing to fulfill orders? Obviously, exporting those to the ERP so they can be handled is going to happen. But there's different levels. You may or may not pull in all of the different updated information, like tracking information, into the system. Then you also have payment processing. Who is handling payments? Is that Magento? Is that the ERP? You can do it in many different ways. On the right side of the slide here, what you'll see is an example blueprint or workflow for a recent integration we did as far as payment processing goes. So it's always good to kind of outline the processes that you have as well, so to kind of give the customer a visualization of where the information is going to flow once it comes in. So common challenges that you're going to face, because I mean, you are going to face challenges doing an ERP integration. It's very complex. You might run up into 100 to 300 hours just working on building an ERP integration because it's such a huge chunk of custom development work. So using commercial off-the-shelf products, there's many different off-the-shelf products out there to help build ERP integrations. Some of them are better than others. All of them are going to claim that they work out of the box. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to run into challenges with your data's not translated properly, and you have to account for challenges like that, or little bugs that you run into where it doesn't connect to the API properly. Things that where if you don't account for anything along that line, you're going to have issues with your product, your development timeline. Controlling data exposure at connection points, aka PCI DSS compliance, very big, crucial part of making any ERP integration. But it can be challenging sometimes to actually meet those requirements because you have to know what information is flowing across the wire. If you're sending card data out to the ERP, you better have that connection secured. Real-time data synchronization, is it possible? Is it even worth it? That's a challenge in and of itself. What does real-time even mean? Which we'll touch on a little bit later. Then you have maintaining data integration, data integrity between two different systems. Magento and the ERP that you're going to be integrating with both handle data in a very, very different way. And so when you're integrating the two systems, you have to look at the data sets, know how Magento stores all of the information, know how the ERP stores the information, and then be able to effectively translate that between the two. Another challenge that you're going to face is the overall reliability of the integration processes. How will those processes actually handle fringe cases? If an order comes in and it can't handle the importing of information into the system, what does it do? Does it go into a black hole where the customer never sees their order because you didn't get it into the ERP properly? Or do you guys get an email saying this integration couldn't handle the order? So you can go in and check it out, deal with it manually. So then we have engineering solutions. There are three different parts here that I'm going to go into depth on, and that is methods of direct integration, managing memory leaks, and building a scalable integration. So there's a number of different methods of direct integration, and that is database, direct to database, using flat files, web services, and a combination of those methods. Now in database, you'll see I've got two different line items. That's remote and local. And what I mean by that is you might have a database that's actually very local to your Magento instance if you're building the integration in Magento. So you don't actually have to reach out across the wire to get the information. Or then you have a remote database where you might have to reach out and pull information in before you can touch it. And a combination of the two would be you might need flat files for export. You might need web services for import, depending on what the ERP actually supports. So my favorite method of integration is actually a database, is a local database, where we basically have the information from the ERP where it's pulled into what we call staging tables, where that information, you have it locally in your system, and now instead of having